Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Jen's Books. I'm sorry, I've been AWOL for some time. Work has been bonkers. I have still been reading, I have still been buying books. So I will be posting a few videos in the next couple of weeks. But apologies, life has just been full on, and I'm sure you appreciate it sometimes. Sometimes life just happens. But still here, still beavering away, still reading loads of books, and still obsessed with those reads. So I'll be posting a summary for October next week. It's slightly less books than I normally, well, quite a bit less than I would normally read, but some really good ones. So I'm looking forward to sharing those with you. But I thought it would be quite nice to start my return after a few weeks away, with a book haul, a good old-fashioned book haul, because I have been still buying books, believe it or not. I know you won't have too many troubles believing it. So I thought I'd go through some of the books I bought this month or last month. I think quite a few of them have been influenced by the spooky season, the autumnal feel that we've all got around here, the trees changing their colours and the leaves falling and the dark nights drawing in. So there's quite a few sort of gothic or historical books that I picked up, but a mixture actually. And there's actually one or two recommendations in here as well that were from subscribers. So the first one, I could not wait for this to come out, and you'll understand when you see the picture on the front, is Bluebeards Castle by Anna Biller. I could not resist this really schlocky front cover. Literally, I've had that in my wish list for months, waiting for it to arrive. So here it is, Bluebeards Castle by Anna Biller. The blurb says it's a debut novel, which is just makes me jealous. Oh, there's some spicy photos on the inside as well. In fact, not photos, paintings. So very cool. When the successful British mystery writer, so it's about writers as well, so double tick, Judith Moore meets Gavin, a handsome and charming baron, at a birthday party on the Cornish coast. His love transforms her from a bitter young woman into a romance heroine overnight. After a whirlwind honeymoon in Paris, he whisks her away to a secluded Gothic castle, but soon she finds herself trapped in a nightmare as her husband's mysterious nature and his alternation between charm and violence become increasingly frightening. As Judith battles both internal and external demons, including sexual ambivalence, psychological self-torture, gaslighting, family neglect, alcoholism, and domestic abuse, she becomes increasingly addicted to her wild beast of a husband. Why do women stay in abusive relationships? Interesting. So Bluebeard is probably my favourite fairy tale. It is also probably one of the most gory ones, or there's quite a few gory fairy tales, and it's basically about a woman who marries a man, and he gives her free range of his castle, except for one room. She's not allowed to go in one room, and when she does open the door, she finds the bodies of all his previous wives in there. So it's kind of a Pandora's box idea. So I'm really interested to see how that fairy tale links into this book, or whether or not it does at all. So I could not resist. So that's the first book. The next one is a second-hand version I got of Small Angels by Lauren Owen. I do try and get a lot of second-hand books where I can. Not always possible. Bluebeards Castle, I did have to buy that, so I was waiting for that. But this is another sort of gothic one. It's from last year. It says, he walks among the whispering trees, and this will ever be so. No help of ours could set him free again from the woods where roses grow. When Chloe returns the key to Small Angels, the church nestled at the edge of Mockbeggar Woods, where she is to be married, she is braced for cobwebs and dust. What she doesn't expect are the villagers' concerned faces, her fiancé's remoteness, or the nagging voice in her head that whispers to her fears she didn't even know she had. Something in the woods is beginning to stir, to creep closer to the sleeping houses. Something that should have been banished long ago. Creepy. I mean, kind of similar in a tone to the last one. As I say, there's a bit of a theme. I think the gothic, spooktacular inspiration has sort of hit really with some of these purchases, but I am looking forward to reading that one. The next one I mentioned, of the book by the same writer. It's by T. Kingfisher, What Moves the Dead, which I read in September and I absolutely adored. And what I didn't realise is there's a sequel to it coming out. I think it's next year, but there's a sequel to What Moves the Dead with the same character. So I am so excited about that because it was such a beautifully written book. So I thought I had to read more by this writer, T. Kingfisher. So I purchased The Hollow Places, and this is another secondhand one that I got hold of. It says "Pray that they are hungry" on the back. Cara finds the words in the mysterious bunker that she's discovered behind a hole in the wall of her uncle's house. Freshly divorced and living back at home, Cara now becomes obsessed with these cryptic words and starts exploring this peculiar area, only to discover that it holds portals to countless alternative realities. But these places are haunted by creatures that seem to hear thoughts, and the more one fears them, the stronger they become. So I don't know any more than that about it, but what I do know is I absolutely adored What Remains of Dead, the reworking of Poe's The Fall of the House of Usher. And so on the strength of that small little book, I have purchased this one, and I'm really looking forward to reading it. The description and the imagery and the atmosphere in the other book was just so beautifully written that I'm really looking forward to reading this, and I'm hoping that there's going to be more of that spooky, uncanny atmosphere in The Hollow Places. So I shall let you know when I've read it. Next is a recommendation from one of my lovely subscribers. It's a chunky one. I'm not sure I realised how chunky it was going to be. Look at that. Look at that. Do you know how I feel about chunky books? This was after my Six from the Shelf video where I talked about westerns. And one of the subscribers suggested that I bought Lonesome Dove by Larry McCurdy. So I have picked it up. I don't know a lot about it. I know that it's a classic. As I say, I feel a kind of fondness for Western novels because my granddad absolutely adored them. So it's one of those things that I do feel myself drawn to at some point. I'm just trying to peel a sticker off the back because, again, it was a second-hand copy, which I picked up for a steal, but they always put labels over the blurbs, which is very annoying. So the blurb says, "A triumphant portrayal of the American West as it really was. Set in the 1880s, Lonesome Dove is the story of a cattle drive, an epic journey from the Rio Grande to the highlands of Montana that will try men's souls as they attempt to carve out a new life in the last remaining wilderness. Augustus McCrae and W.F. Call are former Texas Rangers, retired and becalmed after long years of putting down the Comanches. Gus is the romantic, a reluctant ranger who fills his days with whiskey and the sound of his own voice reminiscing about the old days. Call is devoted to hard work and silence, driven, demanding and obsessed with the dream of creating his own empire." So yeah, I mean, I don't know much about it. I think this is a film as well, or it was a film. I'm just wondering when it was written. I think it's a bit more of a sort of a classic. Yeah, first published in 1985, so not mega old, but you know, a bit older than some of the others I've read. But yeah, really looking forward to that. So thank you very much for your recommendation. I'm looking forward to enjoying that. I think this might be a Christmas read because it's a real chunky boy, and I think I'm going to need some time to spend and focus on it. Following on from that, we've got another sort of Western themed book, and I saw this recommended on somebody else's channel. I think it might have been the lovely Willow on Books and Bow, who sort of alerted me to this particular book. But yeah, another one I couldn't resist. It's called Lucky Red, and it's by Claudia Cravens, and it's sort of a more of a female perspective Western themed novel. Let's have a look. It says Kansas 1887, so same sort of time period. 16-year-old Bridget finds herself alone and penniless with only her wits to protect her. Her looks and distinctive bright red hair, hence the name, soon find her a job at the Buffalo Queen, the only brothel in town run by women. She finds she takes to life with her fellow sporting women appreciating the good food, good pay and good relationships she forms there. But her new life is shaken when a legendary female gunfighter rides into town and Bridget falls in love hard. Before long, the relative peace and security at the Buffalo Queen is turned upside down, and desperate for vengeance and autonomy, Bridget resolves to claim her own destiny. Oh, it sounds so good. Strong women, set in the Wild West. Yeah, I can't wait to read that. It says on the front, orphan, outlaw, lover, lucky red. Yeah, ticked all the boxes for me. And so another Western themed book, but this one obviously is much more recent. I think this might have even come out in this year. Yeah, 2023. So that's as much as I know about it, but I know when I heard Willow talk about it straight away, I was like, yeah, got to read that one. So there's that. The next book that I picked up is a collection of short stories by the fabulous Jeanette Winterson. I heard that Jeanette Winterson had a new book out, so I was going to buy it anyway because it's Jeanette Winterson. But it's a collection of ghost stories. How fantastic is this? I kind of feel like I missed out because I didn't have the opportunity to read it on Halloween, that week. So I would have really loved to have read it, but I'm definitely going to be reading this. And there's a sense of Black Mirror around it as well. They're quite contemporary kinds of ghost stories. So that really intrigued me. Plus it's, got such a beautiful cover. And look at the inside, it's got skulls. So yeah, had to purchase that. I've only read the introduction so far, but I'm really looking forward to it. The blurb says, our lives are digital, exposed and always on. We track our friends and family wherever they go. We have millennia of knowledge at our fingertips. We know everything about our world, but we know nothing about theirs. We have changed, but our ghosts have not. They've simply adapted and innovated, found new channels to reach us. They inhabit our apps and wander the metaverse just as they haunt our homes and our memories, always seeking new ways to connect, to live among us, to remind us, to tempt us, to take their revenge. These stories are not ours to tell. They are the stories of the dead, of those we've lost. Oh, I'm so excited about this. I mean, I really, really love Jeanette Winterson's writing anyway. I've read quite a few of her books. I read Frankenstein was the last one that came out, I think. But it's ghost stories. And it's sort of modern, updated ghost stories as well. So could not resist. I'm afraid this was another one that was kind of on the list as soon as I found out it existed. So that's one I did purchase new. Here is another one. This is another one that I heard recommended on quite a few book channels, but one that I haven't read and I don't know a huge amount either. And it's Sealed by Naomi Booth. I'd love to know if anybody's read this because I don't know a whole lot about it. It says, heavily pregnant Alice and her partner Pete are down with the city. Done with the city, not down with the city, done with the city. Above all, Alice is haunted by the rumours of the skin sealing epidemic, starting to infect the urban population. Surely their new remote mountain house will offer safety, a place to forget the nightmares and start their little family. But the mountains and their people hold a different kind of danger. With their relationship under intolerable pressure, violence erupts and Alice is faced with the unthinkable as she fights to protect her unborn child. So apocalyptic, you know how I like an an end of the world novel. You know how I like one. So I'm looking forward to reading that one as well. I do apologise. Sometimes I'm dyslexic and sometimes I get words all in the wrong order and the wrong way around and make mistakes. So thank you for bearing with me. But yeah, an apocalyptic book had to be done, didn't it? And that's another secondhand one that I picked up. So we need to get into the bottom of the pile now. One of the books I read in October, which I really, really loved, and I can't wait to share with you in my next video, was The Glutton by A.K. Blakemore. And I hadn't read her previous book, but on the strength of The Glutton, which I'll talk about more in my next video, and I really, really enjoyed, I bought a previous novel secondhand, which is The Manning Tree Witches, and this is one that I saw a lot when it came out. I'm not sure if it's just last year or the year before, 2021, so it's been out a couple of years. I don't know a whole lot about it, but again, it's one that I brought on the strength of The Glutton. The lyrical language at times in that novel and the historical research, mwah, beautiful. I just love it, but I'll talk more about that in my next video. So that's why I've picked this one up. It says, England 1643, puritanical fervour has gripped the nation. In Manningtree, depleted of men since the Civil War began, the women are left to their own devices, and Rebecca West chafes against the drudgery of her days. But when Matthew Hopkins arrives, asking bladed questions and casting damning accusations, mistrust and unease seep into the lives of the women. Caught between betrayal and persecution, what must Rebecca West do to survive? So don't know much about it. Clearly it's historical, but yeah, as I say, I'm buying this purely on the strength of The Glutton, which I really, really loved. So I'd really like to know if anybody's read this already and what your thoughts were. Nearly at the end of the pile, I promise. The next book I picked up is some poetry, and this was recommended by a colleague who, when they found out my interest in poetry and in what I write, they thought I'd probably enjoy. And it's Robin Robertson's Grimoire, New Scottish Folk Tales. And I was up in Glasgow when I bought this, so it kind of felt the time to pick it up. So again, don't know much about it other than it's poetry about Scottish folklore and mythology. It says, like some lost chapters from Celtic folk tradition, Grimoire tells stories of ordinary people caught up suddenly in the extraordinary. Tales of violence, madness, retribution, of second sight, witches, ghosts, selkies, changelings and doubles, all bound within a larger mythology, narrated by a doomed shape changer, a man, beast or god. So yeah, I don't know a huge amount of it, but it you know, I don't think I need to know much more about it. And it's got images as well in it. It's got illustrations. So yeah, looking forward to reading that one. That was a recommendation by someone who's actually a stonking poet in their own right. So looking forward to reading that. And I'll tell you what I think once I get through it. And last of all is probably the book I'm going to read first. It's not possibly not the most literary of the ones I've listed, but once I tell you what it is and why I picked it up, you'll understand. And this is actually brand new. It's just come out, but I did get it secondhand from a different location. And what I really love, there's nothing better than ordering a book secondhand, and then when it arrives, it's signed by the author. How amazing is that? A total little boost, you know, a little bit of a added bonus, which I absolutely love. So this is Haunting in the Arctic by C.J. Cook. And those of you who follow my channel will know immediately why I couldn't resist picking this up. I don't know that I've read any of her work previously. Oh no, I have. I've read The Lighthouse Witches and I've got The Ghost Woods, which I haven't read yet. So I have read one of her books before, and I didn't. It was fine, but I didn't love it. But it was well written. So I'm looking forward to reading this one, and I also am looking forward to reading The Ghostwood as well. There was I enjoyed The Lighthouse Witches. There was plenty in there to make me hungry for more of her work. But the blurb says 1901, on board the Ormond, a whaling ship battling through the unforgiving North Sea, a woman awakens, attacked and dragged there against her will. It's just her and the crew, and they're all owed something only she can give them. 1973, decades later, when the ship is found still drifting across the ocean, it's deserted. Just one body is left on board, his face and feet mutilated, his cabin locked from the inside. Everyone else has vanished. Now, as urban explorer Dominique travels into the near-permanent darkness of the northernmost tip of Iceland to the final resting place of the Ormond's wreck, she's determined to uncover the ship's secrets. So it's set in a cold, dark place. Love it. It's about a ship. Love it. It's got haunting in the title. Love it. So I'm really, really looking forward to reading this one. I actually am already reading The Hacienda at the moment. It's my first book for November. So I might have both of them on at the same time because I cannot resist wanting to read this one. Anything set in the Arctic, you know, is just, you know, is just going to be right up my street. So those are my my book haul. Those are the books I picked up in the last month. I've actually got some more. I've got enough to do a second video, so I probably will do in the next couple of weeks. So while I've not been posting videos, I have been buying books, but I've got some great ones that I can't wait to share with you. And also, as I say, I can't wait to tell you about the books I read in October as well, which will be in the next video. But for now, Thank you very much for watching. If you're new to the channel, do like and subscribe. It'd be great to have you on board. Do add your comments in about whether you've read any of these books, whether there are any suggestions you'd make based on them. And until next time, have an amazing weekend. Thanks and take care. Bye.